Welcome to the Dad Livin' Podcast. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Hosted by four best friends who are dads first and storytellers second. We dive into the real, messy, hilarious side of fatherhood. From diaper disasters to teenage drama, work-life balance to building a legacy, we keep it real, fun, and meaningful. Whether you're a rookie dad or a pro, this is your weekly reminder you're not alone. Grab a drink, kick back, and join the conversation.
Welcome everyone to Dad Livin'. Today we got a special episode. I got my dad, Nick, here. Say hi to everyone.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everybody.
On the show today. So a little bit different format than we're used to. Obviously, you're used to having Deutman and Johnson and Ostendorf on here as well. But we're going through a series where we talk one-on-one with our dads, and feel like it's an awesome opportunity for us to obviously talk with you about everything going on and everything we bring to the show, which you've listened to a lot of the shows.
Yes, absolutely. I have to. You are my son.
You don't have to. It's not like I'm forcing him, right?
No. Oh,
maybe. Yeah,
maybe.
Love it. But I think too, we have so many different points of views. We have a lot of grandfathers out there that are listening, as well as a lot of young fathers out there. And we've even had some that their fathers passed away. So yeah, I think it's a good opportunity as we talk about some of these different things, just to tap into, how you handled some of these situations. And I think ultimately too, it's we've talked one-on-one late night where we're having a few drinks on the screen and porch. I mean, that's our big thing. He has the nice screen and porch that he built by himself. I mean, with the help of a lot of people, but it is like heaven on earth when you're sitting out there.
When it's good temperature.
Yeah, right. Luckily, we're getting some good temps here in St. Louis.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But when it's, when we're sitting out there and we're just able to enjoy it, obviously it's heaven on earth. So we've had a few whiskeys and a few beers out there as we're talking about some of these things, and I feel like it's cool. Plus, no pressure, but Johnson thinks that you're a fifth rotator on the show, right?
I don't understand that.
So fifth rotator,
yes.
if like someone else couldn't make it, we're tapping you in.
Okay. Wow.
All right. So this is your tryout too.
Wow.
Love it. So yeah, I mean, and this is going to follow a little bit different. We're not going to go over kind of what's happening or what's going on, right now, but I think ultimately just kind of get in and talk about my dad's, past, obviously what influenced him, then going over a little bit more of, as he became a father, what did he experience? And then how did he handle some situations and what advice he gives all the fathers out there today. So cool. Yeah. Greatest dad in the world. Obviously I'm a little biased, but definitely, I mean, I think you bring in some good points of view. And I mean, I think as like, I kind of intro into everything that we're going to go into, what you gave me is, that drive for hard work and just not settling for on your ass all day, which was awesome. Like, thank you.
My father was one of those guys that, didn't have time for me, which wasn't his fault because he had to make money. But
yeah, how many jobs did Grandpa? I mean, you said it sometimes
he has held 3 jobs at a time.
God, man,
I mean, I've literally helped him on a couple and on occasion.
That's crazy. I mean, did you guys get to spend any like quality time sitting down?
Well, I remember the first time we sat down and he poured me a glass of wine.
All right. How old were you on that occasion? Was it like a 12?
Actually, no. That was my grandfather that poured me the first glass of wine when I was 12.
Nice.
Not that I drank it, but anyway.
You know what?
I was, I guess, maybe 14, 15, something like that.
Nice. Wow. Okay. I mean, and you're probably, I mean, obviously grandma was a linchpin in everything because I mean she worked as well, right? Or was
Off
it
and on,
off and on,
off and on.
but mainly had time for you kids?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She
Yeah,
did. She ran the place, you know. My father, like I say, was always gone in one place or another.
that's
And
crazy.
you know, when he was home, he had to sleep. So, you know, there wasn't a lot of time.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, and just to think, like, I think as we go throughout this, and I think a lot of people out there can relate to this, or as you're hearing this, just the history, like as we kind of transition now into 2025, things are a lot different. I mean, things are so much more different than with me than there probably were with you raising us, and then even with my grandpa, that is, your dad, and how he had to. But I mean, it was a mode of survival. I mean, he had to make money in order to pay the bills and provide for you and then the kiddos. So
Well, I
it's
mean, you know,
crazy.
back then there was no insurance. So, you know, like hospitalization and everything else. So you had to run by the seat of your pants as far as, you know, getting your wife or your kids into the doctor or whatever, and you were expected to pay for it. Obviously, costs back then were a lot lower, but still, in relationship, you know.
Yeah,
But anyway,
that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, just crazy to think about. So, but I'm excited. And I think that's just a little preview as we kind of go throughout. I mean, just tap into that. I mean, we've talked a lot about those things in like little bits, but I mean, this is probably my first time sitting down with you, obviously in this fashion. I mean, I mean, you said that you've only been on camera, what, not like you have never been on camera on purpose.
on purpose.
Yes. Which this is the new 2025, new age, style, which is awesome. So, but I think the second point is I remember growing up with you and how incredible of a father you were. I know we had our projects and you worked hard on all those, and which taught me a lot when I wanted to. There was times where I would be out with my friends or do that stuff, but then the times helping you either put up the fence or work on the screen and porch or work on this project or that project. I think it taught me that hard work and dedication towards, a lot of what's ingrained in me now. I mean, I could have sat around today and done nothing, or, I mean, I did hang out with my kids a lot, but my wife is coming home next week from a long trip away, 8 weeks, and I cleaned the house for the past couple of days, which I I can count on, well, one finger how many of my friends enjoy cleaning the house and have actually done that. And I learned that from you because we would have people over. What would you do? Clean the house.
Yeah, I help.
Mom would too. Mom would too.
Help.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a thing for a lot of women out there that, hey, they clean the house. But I think in a lot of cases for dads out there, it's like get off your asses and help out. Like if you haven't cleaned the house, clean it.
Yeah, and I understand that, you know, a lot of guys these days, you know, think that, you know, well, they've worked hard enough and they don't need to pitch in, but I've never been that way.
Never.
So, you know, that's just me. But, you know,
Yeah.
to help out is to me gratifying for sure.
I agree. I agree. Same thing. I mean, that's what I learned from you and mom. Like, I don't want to leave mom out of the equation because she's been instrumental in everything too. But just seeing you, I think the people out there without a father, or lost a father at an early age, or father was never there. It's tough for them to have that model of how a dad should be, how a man should be, and I think that's important. So I appreciate everything you did with that, and I think the second thing is just dropping everything to be with us. I mean, I couldn't even count how many times that you would be out there with hockey or baseball or taking me here, taking me there. Even though you had these big projects going on, you would drop everything for me, and then also Nikki, as well. I think that was awesome what you did, and obviously important and shaped me today because it's like, all right, I can put off that project. I don't have as many projects as you did, But you
because
know,
I had a lot less money than you had.
as-
I mean, not saying
yeah,
that,
yeah, I know,
but
I know,
just the way it was.
yeah,
Wages back when I was working were not in consistency with, what's going on now,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah. Well, and you were a painter for how many years?
I say probably pushing 40
40.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. And that's I think is important for a lot of the, blue collar workers out there and everything. I mean, trades, all those different things. Obviously, it's different today when you look at it, but I mean, you not only made a good living for us, but now you're retired, enjoying life, and just you know, get to hang out with mom and enjoy all of this, enjoy the grandkids, enjoy everything. So you
I'm
worked
just
hard. You did
enjoying
it.
it. I'm just
You
just
did it.
enjoying it.
What
I
what
did
what
it.
day of the week is it?
I have no idea.
There you go. Sunday for everyone that wants to know. So
Sunday.
I know because I'm
I'm going
looking
to
at
take
my.
off tomorrow, by the way.
There you go. There you go.
So,
So that's awesome. And I think, those are good qualities that we're obviously talk about today
yeah.
as we go through.
Okay.
Really, I think for me, I want to start out with like the early life, like you had kind of talked about. I think it's important. I mean, it was different times. I mean, we're talking the 50s and 60s where you were, raised, and obviously then going into Vietnam and getting drafted. There's a lot there that we won't tap into, but yeah, we just won't tap into it, um, what was your childhood like? Like you kind of give us a little preview, but what was your childhood like? Um, like think about Gus and Addie, 5 and 6. What was it like around that age? And then what are some of your earliest memories that you can remember?
Well, my dad, like I mentioned, worked a lot. He was probably not around for me. Well, probably all the time he was not around. So my mother took the load, and she would pack us kids up on a bus. We had no car, a bus or a streetcar or whatever. And we go to the zoo, we go to movies, go shopping, anything you can imagine, that you would have to do or want to do with a kid at that time. And she'd somehow make it through, get us there, get us back. We had fun.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Well, and grandma was always a big movie enthusiast. Like she
Yeah.
loved movies. And that's one thing that I have too. Like if I can spend all day in the movie, I could hop around from movie theater to movie theater. Obviously you can't, but yeah, I mean, I would love to. So, but that's awesome.
Yeah. No, it was a good childhood. I can't complain. Uh, the only thing that left me short
No pun intended.
anyway was the fact that with the lack of my father, anything to do with like fishing or hunting or anything was out of the picture. There was none of that. So as I got older, I lacked the ability or they lacked the knowledge to do any of this stuff. Very, very little. We had no TVs, so you can't just watch it on TV and see whatever. So I listened to ball games on the radio, but never really saw the players, or
Yeah,
anything. So
which is crazy.
yeah,
I mean, you didn't go to games were probably too expensive at that
I
time.
never went to a ball game. I think I was told I went to one at Sportsman's Park, but I was too young to remember.
Gotcha.
So that doesn't count.
Yeah. Yeah. Which for those that were in St. Louis, obviously, if you couldn't tell by the Cardinal sign at the very beginning, but baseball is pretty, big within what we do and how we do it. I mean, it always has been. I know on, mom's side, as well, they would always listen to the radio and do those things as well, so good old Jack Buck. And before that, I don't even know. It
No,
was on.
well,
That was probably what, the 70s and 80s with Jack Buck
it was
hopped in.
Harry Carey.
Harry Carey, yeah. I know they were on it for a bit. But I mean, yeah, radios were pretty much a household staple, so you were able to listen to those. But yeah, where did you find, like, you talked about grandpa not being there? Like, where did you get your biggest influence as far as being a man and working through that, or was it mainly grandma kind of guiding you guys through that, or did you just have to learn?
You know, just knowing what my dad did, and it's not like I didn't see him,
Yeah,
you know, or anything like that. But no, he just wasn't there for the things that most guys do now with their kids and everything, like what we did together.
yeah,
And that what that's what pushed me even more to be a father that wanted to be involved. You got to be involved. I don't want anybody growing up like I did and have to make their way through. You sit around with guys, especially, later, and, they talk about this and talk about that, or, they did this and and that's something I never did. Or, I mean, I know what it was, know what it was and everything, but I just didn't do it. So, but I learned, as you grow up, you learn everything. In
yeah.
fact, my first ball game I ever went to was the 1967 World Championship at Busch Stadium.
That's a good one for your first one to be at. That's a damn
First
good
game
one.
ever.
Wow. And you were what, 18?
Yes.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, 18. And yeah, I was working in Anheuser-Busch at the time as an office boy, and I happened one of the big, corporate
Wigs,
dudes
yeah.
uh, gave me a ticket because they liked me. So
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
so I
That's
went,
good.
and it was great.
Nice, nice. That's I mean, completely different. I mean, I got to go to ball games with you all the time. I remember, being young at the games as well, which was cool. So I could definitely see, as you're kind of talking about, like how it influenced you as a father. I mean, we did Boy Scouts, we did hockey, baseball,
Yeah.
God, you name it. I mean, I remember going to school picnics with you, just a lot of things. And probably one of the coolest memories, that I remember, like, growing up, and we talk about it all the time, is the Saturday nights. Yeah, my dad built this incredible basement, green carpet that he still has today. That's the most comfy thing in the
Green
world.
carpet.
Our entertainment center, and I remember I remember being a Boy Scouts. Remember, we'd like have the troop meetings over, and we had a 32-inch TV, and it felt like we had the movie theater size screen on there. It was like the new age. I remember playing all my video games on there, and then we'd had the 6 disc CD changer.
Oh yeah.
We'd pop in Garth Brooks and Brooks and Dunn and maybe some Stones, some different stuff, and just let it go. It would just randomize and rotate while we played pool. We had bumper pool back then. Now we have
Bumper
regular
pool.
pool. But yeah, no, I can definitely tell. I mean, that's obviously some of my early memories coming in. I mean, that's where I try to have the fun nights with my kids and try to have, as fun as much as possible. Like, make the weekends memorable, because during the week it's crazy. So, which is cool.
Well, that was my goal. Is you have grown up to a father. I mean, your kids can't want for anything. I mean, they keep busy. You're taking them places all the time. I mean, it's just great. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I have the exact opposite thing. I was talking with them today. So as I'm cleaning the house and working through that, like, I have to have the time. I told my son who and my daughter, at one point, they came over and were like, "Hey, I'm bored. I'm bored." I'm like, "Good, good. It's good to be bored. You're so exposed." Like, I got 'em a special puzzle and a special thing with they're playing with my mom right now. With shout out to my wife too, who helped me with that. Couldn't do it without you. And so we got that. And once they got bored with that, they came up to me and were like, all right, I'm bored. What can we do? It's like, no, go ride your bike. Go knock on some doors with the neighborhood kids. Like, there's so many things that you can do. Be bored, right? Like, be bored. And I think as parents, like, not in today's world, it's you absolutely have to make memories. I think it's so important. And you taught me that. Like, I learned it from you and mom because I have so many of those memories. But it's also like, hey, be bored. Like, go out, enjoy it, or go play with your imagination. So yesterday they colored rocks, and then they had a little stand out there that were they were trying to sell stuff, which by all means, like, go ahead. They're trying to make some money, which was cool. So yeah, I agree. I think it's fun, and obviously, like, the early stuff, I'm trying to pass that down to them. What you did for me, which is awesome. So now so skip to get like ahead to becoming a father, because that was one of the most like memorable things for me. There's a song out there that I've referenced in the past that talks about the stages of being a father, and one of the things that always kind of gets me is it's kind of setting up where it's like next thing you're in a hospital and someone hands you a baby and asks how you doing there, dad, and it's the first time they've did you've ever been called dad before. Tap into that. Like, what was it like? You remember? Obviously, I'm the youngest one, so Nikki, you got me by 5 years, but like, put yourself in that hospital when they handed you Nikki. What was that emotion coming over you? Like, what did it feel like?
Scared shitless. That's all I can say. The next step was about to come, and that was me getting her home. It was like still scared shitless. But, after a month,
You got
yeah, kind of got rid of it. But
we could probably pull in mom at that point and be like, "Hi, how was it for you?" Obviously, I mean, by that point, you were already back at work. You probably had what, like 2 or 3 days off.
actually, yeah, probably a couple days. Um, yeah, and back then the mothers didn't have much time. Yeah, they had. I mean, your mother probably was home maybe a week.
Wow,
Yeah, a week.
that is crazy.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, Kelly was at home for God, I mean, almost 6 months.
Yeah, I
Which,
mean, unless the mother's having complications or something, but
right, right, that makes
uh,
sense.
but
But yeah,
and then we felt that we needed, well, had to have help, and so we had help because her mother and my
right,
mother, they were glad to help.
yeah.
That all came into play, but it just became like a mission to make sure that that little one was like happy and whatever. And you had to feed them and buy the diapers. And well, back then we had cloth diapers too. So you had to wash the diapers.
Which are making a trend back
Yeah.
to everything, which is crazy.
But no, it was different. But I think it's actually the same thing that every dad, even today, feels. I know you did too. Like, oh boy.
I I described it in an earlier show where literally I felt like they handed me a baby, and I remember that moment. I walked in the door. I took a picture of it, which I'll post for everyone. This will be a good post for us to put out. But it was literally me with my daughter Adeline. I just remember, like, oh my god, now what? She was sleeping then at that point, so it was like heaven. But I'm like, what do I do? I no clue. They don't give you a manual with the baby. They don't tell you here's the playbook. It's literally here it is. I mean, and we went through everything from now. It took us 2 years to have kid first off, and then we went to you know obviously, like, and Kelly, you might kill me, but her not producing enough milk, breaking down, and I remember thank God for a friend, Ashley, who is actually in the birth and delivery unit. She came over and had a conversation, got us back squared. But it was a tough, tough first month. Like overall, you're just learning everything, right? So scared shitless is a great way to describe it, right? Yeah, right, right.
And I, and it's something that some guys can get over really quickly and kind of go about their business.
Yeah.
Me, I worried every day for the longest time, but
What'd you worry about?
I just worried, is everything okay at home? At that time, we had to either leave Nikki with, one of our parents, or we actually had to put her in daycare way back when. Back then they had a lot of baby daycares, for working mothers, and there wasn't anyway, it just
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I mean, news didn't spread as fast as, I mean, when our babies were in daycare, we got photo updates every freaking
oh no,
hour. We got calls, we got messages if there was too many coughs happening, not enough. Like I felt worried, but I also felt reassured. But back, kind of where you're talking about, I mean, you didn't have that, which
no,
is
and yeah, no
crazy.
communications.
Yeah.
We had to,
A
everything was
phone.
landlines and
Yeah.
whatever, but
It's
no, I
crazy.
mean, it all worked out. Everything
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah. I think it's natural to worry too. Like I think for a lot of the fathers out there, you're worrying. I mean, shit, I'm worrying every day, like still, like to this day. And I think there's different challenges today, um, you know, than there was back then. But what was kind of your biggest, like you talk about worrying and now open it up beyond babies? Like, what was your biggest worry back then for us, like in school, in life?
The first thing I thought of, I was drafted, and the main thing that was, when I was drafted at that time, they let guys that could pay for college and stuff and whatever. They just let them go to college and stuff like that. They weren't in danger of getting drafted and but of course I had no possibility of coming up with any kind of money, or were even working enough to pay for college. And they didn't have like student loans back there and all that stuff, nothing like that. So you either had it or you didn't. So my main thing, and the first thing we talked about, was I'm going to make sure that these kids go to college. There is going to be no chance in hell that my son or my daughter, in that case, were going to receive a letter like I did, put
Right.
them in a situation like that. So that was our main concern from day one, actually,
Makes sense.
besides, making sure there was
No. Yeah.
food
Right.
and
Right.
then,
Yeah.
but that was my main concern. And then, of course, getting you guys when you were of age to get them in school. But the daycare thing was the main, just like everybody goes through now, you know. And there was a funny situation way back when Nikki was, in daycare, back when she was, I guess about three, something like that, 3 or 4. And uh, I was going to pick her up after work, and I went into the daycare, and and they says, well, she's taking a nap. It was earlier that day, so she was in taking a nap, and so she's laying on the floor with about 6 or 7 or 8 other little girls, whatever. Said she's on the floor looking, and I stood there and I looked down, and I couldn't remember what she had on that day, and they all looked alike. And I'm thinking, I can't remember what my daughter looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
literally had to ask the lady that was, which one? Yeah, where's she at? And she looked at me and kind of laughed. She says, you're not the first one. So that, just stuff like that, it's just so many things like that. But,
Which
in you guys' situation, you got a lot different things
Yeah.
that are happening. So, you
Yeah.
know, just
Right.
different.
What, so kind of in the early, like as you're talking about like baby into childhood and us being kids, what surprised you the most
As it surprised me.
as a dad? Like what surprised you? What was kind of the moment where you're like, oh shit, like wow, okay,
Well, I guess you're when you went to school, you know, that became a whole different issue.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Then, just yeah, every just like everything today, every time you change into a different area, things all change again.
Completely,
Yeah,
completely, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So it's different worries about different things. And
right, yeah. Well, and did you ever have like I don't know, right now, especially with everything going on in the world and there's like different emotions as fathers like we feel. Did you feel like I said something earlier where it was like I remember the last day I dropped Gus off daycare and I realized, holy shit, like he's going to elementary school. Like this is the last time I'm dropping him off. And I got emotional. Did you ever kind of feel like that or
oh, oh yeah,
get like that?
oh yeah, yeah. But I had to go to work early all the time, and so I never really was the person that dropped off the kids or anything. Occasionally I did, but not anything on a regularity. Um, yeah, no, your mother would be the person,
The emotional one in
the
that case, and
emotional one
then
on this.
Kevin and
Yes.
well, and I remember too, especially, um, I obviously had Nikki who was 5 years older and can help kind of like get me to the bus stop and do some of those things too. So I think obviously you guys had to lean on her a lot, but it also made me more kind of independent in the case, which I'm trying to do with my kids because we're so you know, Kelly and I are there in a lot of cases. So I'm trying to make them more independent, which is something I take as a huge win. You going to work early. I remember you waking me up, and we'd always have different routines, which were fun,
Yeah. To get you up.
right?
Yeah,
To get me up because I would be in there. And the funny thing is, I'm seeing that with Gus, my son, right now, which is
exactly.
so fun.
I've seen you do that.
Yeah, which
Yes.
is which is
That
fun and
gives me memories.
yeah, me too. Me too. And that's some of the obviously things I tap into, but then I struggle with giving them that independence, trying to figure out ways that I can inject that into them because they are so dependent on us. And I'm not saying this in a way of an excuse or anything like that, but like us being a COVID baby. I mean, the first 2 years of his life were closed. I mean, heck, it took us what 3 months or 2 months for you guys to meet Gus. For the
Yeah.
first time, it was completely different than Adeline, my daughter, which was just a year before, but you guys were at the hospital. I mean, like so much different. He didn't have daycare right off the bat. I mean, it was so weird. So I think in a lot of ways, he's so dependent. I mean, I'm going through with hockey with him, and I catch little glimpses where Adeline is not. Adeline will jump into things or do things or go with her friends or do this. So that's tricky. I take that as a huge win for me because yes, I was dependent on Nikki in some situations because you and mom both worked a ton. But I also had mom that I can call. I had you that I can call eventually. But I mean, I blew up mom a lot. Sorry, mom. But in any case, I felt dependent or independent in a lot of cases, which was awesome. So that was one thing I took out of it too. So yeah, but yeah. So now, kind of switching gears as we talk about like parenting and family life. Like we talk about balance, or you know, obviously whether we think it's a just a myth or if it's actually true. But I think you need balance in life in a lot of cases, and how you're doing that. Right now I'm obviously balancing a lot with Kelly being gone with work and the kids. But what was kind of your big thing that you always try to balance with work and family?
Well, uh, you know, you guys were, you had a lot of things going on, even at an early age. So, a lot of times, and of course, being siblings, you didn't get along. So there was more of a management concern between the two of you, you know, especially if we had to leave you, whatever, for not any amount of time, but just you
Yeah.
guys together.
Yeah.
Anyway, just as you guys get older or whatever, you got to be the person that's in control. The one thing I did from day one was I never let you guys control me. I controlled you. When you said, no, I was not going to do that or do something, I actually learned from work being a manager that I had to sit down and talk to you, not just yell at you. And that made a heck of a difference. Yeah. I mean, I lost control a few times, but everybody's going to do it. But yeah, talking, talking it out,
Yep.
getting the situation in hand. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, then I mean, I think that's important. And that's obviously a big thing. I mean, yeah, I talk about a lot. I try to figure out what's the best style. And obviously there's probably points. And one of my next questions is going to be like, what do you, what do you feel like could have done differently? And I feel like for me, it's that like where you get to those points where the kids aren't reasoning with you. They're not understanding you. And, you feel like then the only meat is to yell, which can be tough. So yeah, no, I think that's important. And of course, if you hear my son crying, it sounds like he might have had a bike accident, but that's fine. But yeah, no, that's good advice. And especially, trying to understand what's going on. But I think ultimately, you know, just getting down to the point of saying, okay, well, I asked you to do something and you need to do it.
I mean, it doesn't, I mean, I wasn't a taskmaster or anything like that. It just, I thought maybe we had to have an understanding more than, me being a father and you being a kid,
Yeah.
some kind of understanding. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but I understand, if I have a bad day, I come home. I can't just think it's all about me. I had a bad day. No, you guys might have had a bad.
Right.
Yeah. So just a matter of trying to get some kind of understanding between you and the kids, other than being, you do this and you do that, and whatever. Anyway,
As my daughter's looking at us. Uh, like I said, well, like we've said before, this is a very open set where yes, we are in my office, but our studio is right here amongst the kids in a lot of cases, which is fun. But no, I think that's so important. I think that getting an understanding, and I remember in a lot of cases as we're kind of as I got older, obviously I don't remember a lot of the early conversations like a lot of people. Like you don't remember a lot of those.
I
I
don't.
remember us being very strict and pointed with chores, which helps me today and how I do the dishes and how I do little things. It's
Yeah.
like that helped me out so much. So I obviously recommend everyone doing that. Like have a chore list. Today we have, I think it's like a skylight or whatever it is. It's a thing on the wall that then has a calendar and tasks on there, which is fun. And my kids are starting to like almost at the worst times, of course. Might be late to work. I'm like, Gus, what are you doing? And he's making his bed and cleaning his room because he needs to check it off, which can be tough. I'm like, what are you doing, man? I appreciate it, but they're so task oriented, which is great. But yeah, I think in a lot of cases too, it's trying to find that understanding, which I love. And there was times I remember older, like in high school, I think we were all difficult in high school, but I remember there's a time we were building the fence, and of course I had a girlfriend, I had, these things. It was Friday night, and yeah, so it was definitely one of those things that, um, yeah, was tough. And I remember getting that understanding with you for sure. So, um, but yeah, so
What was I thinking?
we got a lot going on.
Yeah, there's things happening. Anyway,
Yes, but yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So
no, like punishments and stuff like that. I mean, I had to figure that out as far as, you guys do something wrong, or whatever. Like first time a cop shows up at my door,
yeah,
you know, how do you handle that? Well, it's easy. You let the cop talk. You let the cop talk to your kid. You figure this all out. You find out exactly what's wrong, and then you deal with it aftermath or whatever,
after the fact.
after the fact. And then you have to make it understood that this is wrong and that's that. My daughter still tells me about the time I grounded her for 2 weeks. It's like she, she did what a lot of kids do. You say, oh, I'm going to be spending the night with so and so, and you end up somewhere else. And in her case, she ended up at a concert that she wasn't even allowed to go to anyway, but that's where she ended up, and I had to go get her, and it ended up with like I say, a little grounding. And to this day,
Yeah,
she still mentions that.
yeah, still. But I'm gonna assume she's gonna double and triple check with her kids that what's going on. And I mean, she has a 14-year-old who will get into a lot of those things, and
Yeah.
obviously leading with the boy versus us. But yeah, I think in some cases too, it's also it's also important. So, but yeah, so as we kind of look at, okay, overall life lessons, because I think that's important. What are some of the big picture takeaways about fatherhood? I know you hit on obviously finding an understanding and working through that, but what are some of the big picture takeaways that you would give advice for fathers out there?
Well, a lot of people don't think this way, but I always thought if you guys wanted to drive, you had to show me that you can pay for things, because I certainly couldn't pay for everybody's stuff, stuff like that. And you guys did. And you guys did it without a lot of problems about it or anything like that. And I just got lucky. My kids, other than, a little grounding here or there or whatever,
Pretty
uh,
good.
weren't, weren't always in trouble or anything. And, they pretty much did what they were supposed to do. And they hung around with some great people. And so, in that respect, I was lucky, but they're, they're still the kids that I brought up. They're still great. They still do what they're supposed to, and everything is good. And I'm just one happy person. But yeah, you just can't let things get out of control. You know, if somebody, it's okay to take things away. It is. It's very okay to take things away and not feel bad about it, because they can tell you that that was a good thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's
Yeah. I think that's great. Saying no. I said this in our last episode. Like, it's all right to say no. Like we talked about the phones and technology and everything that goes into it, but like just saying no is perfectly fine no matter what age they're at. If they're, at that point, I still remember when I got my license and I worked through that. And I remember you saying, well, you need a job. If we want to go get a car, like I'll buy it for you, but you got to have a job. And what did I do that day? I went, I got a job. I went down to the local Emos Pizza. For any of those no emos, it's fantastic. Don't listen to what anyone else says. It's fantastic, right? But I got with my buddy Phil at that point who was working there. I'm like, I need a job. He said, we're hiring, done. Fill that application. I think I worked that night too. I think I filled it out, worked, and you guys were like, where the heck are you at? And it was a Friday night and they needed a pizza maker. And I was like, put me in. But I think that was also good influence from you guys and saying like, hey, but then I also had motivation. I wanted a car, and you did. Like literally that same week or weekend, it was like, all right, let's go get a car, which I think is cool. It's gonna be the same thing I'm gonna do with my kids because I want them to learn those values. And I think for a lot of people out there that are going through that, like that's important. If you just give to your kid, they're not gonna respect you at all. They're gonna take everything for granted, I think in a lot of cases, and walk all over you. So yeah. And kind of going back to that, if you can write a dad manual, like for those dads out there, whether they new or old, what would be on the first page?
Well,
What would be? I know there's a million things.
yeah,
you can put
there's a
on there.
million things.
What's the on the first page?
Okay. Never make your spouse the bad person. Never. If something's going wrong or whatever, or something like that, you don't say, well, it's your mom's fault or whatever. You make sure that you and your spouse talk it out before you decide to open your mouth and say something. That's very important. That's one of the biggest things, because then you got people going against each other, and that's not good. Then you got war, and that's not good.
Yeah, agree.
So
I love it.
one of the biggest things.
I agree.
No, it's just everything we've talked about. You put that all down there, but don't be scared to say no.
Yeah, love it. I love it. I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect because obviously, if you start pinning stuff on your spouse or doing some of those things, making your spouse the bad person, it is not going to work in favor of you, and it's going to probably hinder your relationship, and then in return cause a lot of different issues out there. So yeah, what would you kind of say in the final bit here? What would you say you're most proud of?
No question. These two, my two kids, they went through college, great averages. They both graduated in good places, and it made me the proudest person I could ever be. I mean, and they're still making me proud. But it's like, man, when both of them were together on that day he graduated, and my daughter was there, and whatever, we had a big celebration. No, I was one happy person. That's it. I mean, and then both of them used their degrees and made something of themselves. And again, yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and everything you worked towards then came to fruition, right?
absolutely.
So
I mean, I'll
that's
throw in the grandkids are great and everything else.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean, I'm not leaving them out.
yeah. No, they're pretty amazing.
Yes, they are.
And that's that's the same thing I'm bringing too. And of course, I think we got a wasp in the house. It's all right. We got a lot of things going on.
Yes, we do.
It's fall in St. Louis, but got a dancing pretty girl outside. So good job. But yeah, no, I think ultimately, your kind of checklist item as far as college got checked off. I remember that moment, and I think you had a smile on your face the whole entire day, which was awesome. So and that's something where, and I totally got it. You made it clear from day one on, obviously shortcomings that happened to you in your life and what we were set to accomplish, which was which was great. And I think it set goals for me, but then I, I, I mean, I always knew like, okay, well, I'm going to set my goals and work through with my kids as well. And I have big ambitions, but today's landscape is so much different. It's like, hey, you can go to college if you want. If you want to be a tradesperson, which is fantastic. Like trade schools
Absolutely.
are incredible, and we need those workers are there as
Yes.
well. So there's so many different opportunities. Heck, you could be a content creator. You can do a lot of these different things. So that's where I'm kind of telling them like, hey, what you told me, which was important, I just want you to have clear goals and know exactly kind of like, hey, here's what I love and here's what I'm passionate about and here's what I'm going to do. And they're going to change the world. Like they're going to be incredible. So,
Yeah. Let's hope somebody gets this place.
right, right. Crazy world that we live in for sure. So I think that was good tips. Any last minute advice for fathers out there that may be listening?
Just be good. Be good to your families. That's all I can say.
Yes. Love it. But I think this was incredible. So how'd you feel? You feel great? This was so cool to hear we kind of jammed it into 45 minutes or 50 minutes, which was I think we could talk a lot more and we have talked a lot more, but this was so cool. I appreciate you coming on. I love you. You know that. But yeah, so for those out there, I think the big thing is, yeah, reach out to your dads. Like talk with them, talk about these things, take some of these questions. We'll post some of the questions that we went through as you go about it. But yeah, just sit down. And if you haven't talked to your dad in a while, for whatever reason, just I'm a big believer of just letting it go, letting anything that happened go. Obviously, there's some things that are tough, but just reach out to your father, mend those things and work through it for sure. So yeah, for those of you with dad living, follow and subscribe to us today on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, soon to be Amazon Podcast. We're working through kind of logistics with that, but yeah, and drop your comments below. Like, what is your one bit of advice for fathers out there? And what have you experienced? I think that's important as we go through to hear from other dads out there, because obviously our relationship and what you did as a father and what you went through as well obviously shaped what we have. But yes, but there's fathers out there that don't have that or have a different story. So love to hear your thoughts as we go through. So, but thanks for listening, and everyone have a great day. So see y'all. Bye.